Okay, let's get started. I'm gonna have you guys start on your back for centering. So if you can grab your Indian blanket or Mexican blanket and just roll if you open it up like this and then roll the long edge a little bit. And you don't want it real high. Some of you have open shoulders, you've done this before. You can do it a little higher, but you want a little bit on the top part. And then this is use the one you're sitting on. It's a little bit lower. Yeah. There you go. That's probably too high for you, Helen. I'd roll it down. So it's more like a smallish roll. And then what you're going to do is just try and aim your low shoulder blades on there. And then you want your arms to come up over, so they're on the high side. And then you just get to lay there. I'm going to turn. Yeah. And you want your shoulders to kind of drip over and maybe even be on the ground. I think you could go that way a little bit more. Yeah. Does that feel better? You feel good? Yeah, that looks perfect. And Jeanette, it looks like you could even. Does that feel okay? Is it too intense? I was thinking this way, but I think maybe you're good. Yeah, you're good. I'm just checking these guys here. So it should feel like a stretch, in your belly, in your heart, but not so much that you feel uncomfortable. That's it. How's that, Helen? That looks perfect. Does it feel okay? Okay, so we're just going to do our centering here. So today since it's so close to Christmas and we always have a tendency to try and do too much, and we aren't good at slowing down and relaxing, right? Especially certain times of year. Yeah, if it's too intense, you can either roll a little lower, or you can bend your knees as well. That kind of takes away the intensity. So we're just going to be here for a few minutes, but I want you to really focus in on your breath. And we're going to do a nice slow practice today with some restorative poses thrown in there. And I want you to ask yourself when you're in those poses, can I truly relax and be present with myself, even when sometimes I feel antsy when I get in a position where I'm just laying there doing nothing. I want you to realize that that is just as good for you as really intense exercise. And so when you notice yourself getting that way, just kind of focus back in on your breath, or maybe your heartbeat, anything that'll help you stay present with yourself this morning. when you allow yourself to relax fully, getting enough sleep, taking little breaks throughout your day. You're much better able to notice the grace within you and within others, and the beauty that's always all around you. Now just bend your knees so that you can press up enough to slide that blanket out of the way. Slide it out from underneath you. If you need to come up, you can. And then just lay back down. You can bring your feet a little wider, let your knees fall together. You place your hands on your belly, just feeling your breath move in and out. And then extend your arms up over your head and just in a comfortable position. So maybe your elbows are bent slightly. And then wiggle your feet side by side so the inner edge of your feet are touching. And then keeping a nice long spine, just allow the knees to roll to the right and then slowly up and over to the left. And see how slow and controlled you can do this. Warming up the hips and the core. You can coordinate your breath with this and try to keep like a 4 count inhale and a 4 count exhale. And the next time your knees are upright, just pause there. Maybe slide your hands down to cactus or T. And then very slowly open the knees out to the side with that 4 count breath. And slowly close. Sometimes it's hard. You got to keep your core pretty intact as you open to butterfly and close. Sure that when the knees are up, the inner edge of your feet are together. And when they're wide, maybe the soles of your feet come together. time. The knees are up. Pause there. And bring your feet a little wider, right to the edge of the mat. And then again, do windshield wipers this time. So the feet are separated as you use that 4-count breath. Go to the right and to the left. And the next time, knees are up, pause there. Wiggle the feet a little closer together so they're hip distance. And just bring your right ankle up over your left thigh. Open the knee, just keep a long spine. Want more stretch? You can interlace, decide. Interlace between. Just sway side to side a little bit, just kind of exploring. And releasing and unwinding, switch sides, left ankle over right thigh. Place behind if you want. You don't have to. You can just stay right where you are. The right foot on the ground, or you can explore. And releasing that foot to the floor, unwind. And just roll up into a little ball. Maybe lift the sacrum, lift the head, the shoulders. Draw your belly button towards the floor. And then relax back down and carefully roll to the side. And come on up to all fours. And once you're there, just checking out to see that everything's working. Start moving in a big figure 8 or a circle if that's better for you. Kind of moving through all the joints very slowly. Breathing, just really noticing as you shift the weight. And then switch directions. Finally pause in a flat back position. And just slowly using your 4-count breath, Move to cow pose. And round to cat. Just very slowly, see if you can feel each vertebrae moving. You can even lengthen out your breath more if that works for you. More round. And then moving back to child's pose, if you need to widen your knees a little bit, do big toes together. Just sit back. Focus in on your breath as it, even though this is a more of a restful pose, see if you can feel how your body moves as the breath moves in and out. Not only does your belly expand, but your back expands. Then go ahead and stretch your arms out as far as you can. And then come up a little bit so that you can move them to the right, and your hands should be shoulder width. And then shift your hips to the left. You'll feel a pretty intense stretch on the left side body. And coming back up, just slowly walk your hands to the left. Same thing, hands are hip distance, shift the hips to the right. Again, that stretch. Come on back to center. Slowly come on up. All fours. You want to make sure your hands are slightly in front of your shoulders because we're moving to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. So curl the toes under, cross back so your knees lift, and then slowly lifting your sits bones up and back. Come into your downward facing dog. And just notice here, be mindful. Slowly bend one knee and the other. Move with your breath. Sure the weight's in all parts of your hand. Armpits are lifted. And pause. And slowly sway your hips side to side. And then pausing, lower your knees and come down to your mats on your chest and come to your elbows. So forearms and elbows and hands. Make sure your elbows are approximately under your shoulders, maybe a little bit in front. Stretching your feet long. Pressing down. I want you to just kind of draw the lower ribs back and then think of pulling isometrically your forearms and elbows back and lengthening your spine, stretching up. Even though the lower ribs are connected, let your heart come forward, broaden your clavicles, broaden the shoulders. For Sphinx pose. Good. Now relax down a little bit. Maybe lengthen the back of your neck. Allow the place between your shoulders to soften a bit. Just bend your right knee. Flex and point the foot a few times. Maybe rotate it in a big circle. Good. And then pause and see if you can lift the thigh up and keeping both forearms down. Shift to your left hip and reach that right foot back in space. And then coming back to center. Bring the thigh down, stretch the leg straight. And then coming into Sphinx pose again, just kind of make sure your rib cage is back. Broaden your clavicles. Lengthen up through the top of the head. Feeling the forearms pulling back into that Sphinx pose. And then relax down a little bit, lengthen the back of your neck. You can allow upper back to round just slightly, bend the left knee. Flex and point or make a circle with your ankle. And then lift the left thigh, roll to the right hip. Keep both forearms down, keep connected. Just move that foot back in space. And then square up again, bring the thigh down. Stretch both feet long. One last time, Sphinx pose. Just feel like it's an emerging thing. Your spine gets long, you feel connected. Good. And then relaxing down, slide your hands back by your chest. Take your time, curling your toes under, pushing back to all fours, and then lifting the knees, making your way to downward facing dog. I want you to do this next thing as slow as possible. So move your left hand towards you, one hand width, and then your right hand. And pause in a shortened down dog. Just check that out. Might have to bend your knees a little. And then move your right hand back one hand width. And slide the left one back, an even shorter down dog. You might have to bend your knees. And then one more time, left hand, right hand. Shifting the weight back into your feet more. Pausing, checking it out. You can weigh. Then right hand, then left hand. Left hand and right hand. Go slow until eventually you end up in a forward fold. Check out your feet. And slowly roll one vertebra at a time all the way up to standing. If you need to bend the knees and bring the hands on the knees, you can. And come all the way up. And stretch your arms up. Grab your right wrist with your left hand. Now don't effort this, just let gravity kind of take you into a side stretch. Just feel lengthening. Slowly make your way back up and switch. Back to center. Reach your hands up. You're ready for an exhale. Slowly waterfall back down. Forward fold. See if you're over efforting in your neck. Let it lengthen. And then slowly, just like you got there, start walking your hands back out. Eventually, you make your way to a downward facing dog. Lowering your knees. And coming to a standing, not standing, I'm sorry, knees. I'm trying to turn this down a little bit. I'm going to have you grab your bolster or your blankets. So if you have a bolster, grab that. If yours is behind you. And the rest of you, I'm going to have you grab both blankets. So you want a pretty big rectangle. And then just place your other blanket on top. And then carefully roll it. You want a pretty fat bolster. So it works pretty well with the blankets too. Yeah. And then bring that onto your mat. And you're going to sit not on the bolster, butt right beside it. So your hip is next to it. And then just try and find a comfortable position for your legs. So your knees are both pointing forward. And then you're just going to turn and face the bolster with one hand on either side. And then slowly lower down over it. So you'll be in a twist. And you can even hug the bolster if you want. And your choice, you can have your face pointing the same direction as your knees. Or if it feels comfortable and you want more twist, turn your head the opposite direction. You can even shift the bolster to accommodate you wherever it feels like a comfortable position. I'm going to come around and see. Yeah, good. And allow the props to support you. That's the main goal here. And breathe into it. You guys all look very comfortable. And I'm not going to leave you here a super long time. I really want you to truly relax into the prop. This is called a supported twist. Carefully slide your hands back so you can slowly press back up. And it's a really easy way to transition. You just kind of move your knees up and over so your hips right by the bottom of the bolster. Slide your knees the opposite direction. Put one hand on either side. And slowly lower down over the bolster. Any of you are cold, I could throw a blanket over your feet too. You decide which way you want to turn your head. It's pretty intense. For me, if I turn it the opposite way, but sometimes I can get it in a good position. Slowly sliding your hands back and pressing up. Come on back up to seated. And just move your bolster to the side and grab your two blocks. And I gave you each an extra blanket so you can keep your bolster nice and big if it's a rolled one. And just bring your two blocks together in the middle of your mat. So they're on the lowest setting. And then throw your blanket over the top just to kind of hold it all together and give a little more cush. Yeah. And make sure it's in the middle of your mat. And then this is going to be the very hardest thing we do all morning. You're going to sit on your little block configuration. Make sure your feet are close. And then reach back with your hands. And then you'll kind of have to shift forward a little bit because you want to get your sacrum on the blocks as you lower down to your elbows. And then lower down so you're in a supported bridge. And just let your arms rest there. Bring the knees or the feet right under the knees. You can lengthen the back of your neck a little bit, lengthen. Maybe lift your chin if it feels like it's scrunched. And we're going to be here a while, so you want to make sure if you need another blanket under your head, please put it there. And then slowly bend your right knee into your chest. And maybe hold the knee. You can hold the knee or interlace behind, your choice. And if you want to keep the hip creases parallel to each other, maybe a little work kind of lifting your heart a bit. And then see about extending the left leg long with the heel resting on the floor. A little bit of an active leg with the left leg. Extend the right foot up towards the ceiling. Crack, crack. You can move the foot in a circle if you'd like. And bending the right knee. Release that foot back to the floor. Bending the left knee. And bringing the left knee in, maybe holding it. Seeing how that feels, and if it feels okay, you'd like to extend the right leg long, you can do that. Just feeling a big stretch in the hip flexor. Should be an active right leg. And then interlacing behind the thighs, see about straightening the left leg just slowly. Doesn't straighten all the way, that's okay. Just see where you're at. Maybe making a circle with your foot. And releasing that foot to the floor. Bend the right knee again. And both feet are flat. Just bringing your hands on either side of the blocks. You have a little support there. You can keep your heart lifted. You're just going to bring your right knee in towards your chest. And if it's appropriate for you, just keeping the left knee bent. Gonna push the right foot towards the front of the room, a little wave. And then bring it back in towards your chest. And then extend it a little further. And drawing it back in towards your chest. And then extending it all the way long and letting it hover there. And slowly let the heel come closer to the ground, but just hover there. Pressing through the left foot. Feeling a little bit of work in your core. Hovering. Good. And then slowly bend the knee in towards your chest again. Hold on to it with your right hand and extend your left leg and the heel comes to the floor. And then keeping the hips square, just allow the right knee to come off to the right side. The left hip stays down. Kind of exploring that hip. Mine is only about as wide as my armpit. And then slowly bringing it back up to center. Which hand? So you're holding it with the left hand. And maybe bring it across your body a little bit, but not so much that your right hip lifts, just a few inches. Touching out my T-band. And then bringing it back to center. Let go of the knee. Let the foot come flat with the knee bent. And slowly hug the left knee in towards your chest. And push the foot forward just a little ways, about a third of the way out. And slowly bring it back in towards your chest. And then extend it a little further. And pulling it back in. And extending the leg all the way. Let it hover there. And play with lowering it close to the mat. And just don't allow it to touch, just hover. Slowly bending the knee back in. Take a hold with your left hand. Extend the right leg if you want. You don't have to. You can keep it bent. And then bringing it off to the left side, playing with the different sensations in this supported bridge. It feels a lot different. And bringing it back through center. You can switch hands if you'd like. And bringing it across the body slightly, not a long ways, just enough to feel some stretch in the outer thigh and leg, hip. And bringing it back to center, releasing that foot to the floor. Bend your right leg as well if it's straight, so that both feet are right under the knees. Your hands are on either side of the blocks. And then slowly push up to regular bridge. And this is the tricky part. You're going to slowly push your whole block configuration off out from underneath you. And then slowly lower to the mat. Just notice. And then roll off to the right side. Rest there for a moment. And push on up to a seated position. And grab your bolsters again. And bring, I'm gonna have to roll mine. And then you're gonna bring one block to the highest height, kind of near the top of your mat. Use the bolster, yeah. And then the second block is gonna go to the lowest height, kind of there. And then your bolster goes on top, like so. And you might have, those of you with blanket rolls, you might have to play with that a little bit. And then have your other extra blanket handy to cover up with if you need it. And here's what you do. You just sit not on the bolster, but right in front of it. Bring the soles of your feet together. Let your knees open. And then slowly lay back on top of this. And find a place where you can truly relax into the blocks and the bolster. And now come on, what's that? Butterfly, if that feels okay. Now, sometimes you'll get into it. You guys good? And I wish I had more. There you go, Helen. I could really, yeah. Does it feel unsafe out? Sometimes when you have your knees like this, it feels good at first, but then it doesn't feel good after a while. So you decide you can either keep your knees open like this, or you can stretch your legs out long at any point. Try and get your hands in a position where they can relax. Notice where mind goes, where your breath is. Exhale, just relax a little deeper into the props. Your choice. You can slowly close your knees. If you're comfortable where you're at, you can stay here for Shavasana. You can extend your legs and take Shavasana that way, Or if you'd like to just get off all the props and do regular Shavasana, that's an option as well. Position, however, it feels good. Vibration to just move through your cells. Restoratives put you in good alignment position. Vibration. You can even feel the vibration down to the smallest cell in your body. Putting it back in good alignment. As you relax, see if you can feel the heart beating in your chest. You can't feel it, maybe imagine it. And after a while, you can even feel the heartbeat, your hands or your feet. You continue to relax. I'd like to share one of my favorite poems from Lao Tzu entitled A Prayer for Peace. If there is to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. If there is to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. If there is to be peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors. If there is to be peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. If there is to be peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart. And slowly coming back, just open your lungs for a little bit deeper breath. Start to make small movements with fingers and toes. You feel ready. And remembering if you're still on your blocks and bolster, that you're up high. So however you can carefully support yourself as you move off of the props. And eventually come to a seated position. Just take your time. Just bring hands to heart center. And just bowing towards your peaceful heart. I thank you for sharing your beautiful lights and calm, peace and calm with me this morning. Namaste. And I